Beloved brothers and sisters, today I want to speak directly to your spirit, because there are moments in life when God whispers to your soul and says, "You are not ordinary. You are mine. I've set you apart for a life of supernatural favor." Many people look at their circumstances and see struggle, delay, confusion, or rejection. But what they don't see is the invisible hand of God shaping their destiny, preparing them, pruning them, and positioning them for a future filled with divine favor. When God sets you apart for a life of supernatural favor, one of the clearest signs is that you face unusual battles long before you step into your breakthrough. These battles often feel heavy, unfair, and impossible to explain. People around you may not understand why your challenges seem more intense than the average person's. But what they cannot see is that the level of warfare coming against you is directly connected to the level of purpose inside you. The enemy does not attack what is not a threat. He does not invest his energy in what is ordinary. He only fights what carries destiny, influence, and divine assignment. So when you face warfare that seems far beyond your age, experience, or position, it is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It is proof that heaven has marked you. Sometimes these battles begin early in life. Some people grow up feeling resistance, rejection, or hardship from childhood. They don't understand why their path feels harder than others. But those early battles often mean God planted something great within you. And the enemy, sensing the prophetic weight of your calling, tries to crush you before you even know who you are. Many of the strongest warriors of God faced incredible hardship before they ever stepped into destiny. Joseph was thrown into a pit and sold into slavery before he became a leader. David was hunted before he became king. Moses was attacked before he became deliverer. The pattern is consistent. The greater the destiny, the stronger the early resistance. These unusual battles are also meant to train you spiritually. God allows warfare not to destroy you, but to develop you. He uses adversity to strengthen your faith, sharpen your discernment, and build your spiritual muscles. Without these battles, you would not be prepared for the greatness ahead. Supernatural favor requires supernatural strength. So every attack you face becomes a part of your spiritual preparation. What was meant to break you ends up building you. What was meant to stop you becomes the very thing that equips you. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. There is also a hidden blessing inside unusual warfare. It pushes you closer to God. When life becomes painful or confusing, you pray differently. You seek God with sincerity. You depend on Him in ways you never did before. These battles pull you into deeper prayer, stronger faith, and greater intimacy with God. You begin to learn that He is your protector, your provider, your fortress, and your strength. Without those battles, you may never have discovered how powerful God is. So even the hardest seasons become spiritual gifts in disguise. Another reason why you face unusual battles is because God is protecting you from stepping into blessings prematurely. Sometimes warfare delays your breakthrough because God wants you to be spiritually mature enough to handle the favor coming. If He lifted you too high too fast, the weight of the blessing might crush you. The attacks you endure teach humility, patience, and resilience. They strip away pride, fear, and doubt. They shape your character so that when God gives you favor, you will not lose it. The warfare is not a sign of delay. It is a sign of divine timing. Unusual battles also reveal who is truly meant to walk with you. During hard seasons, people's true hearts are exposed. Some walk away, some misunderstand you, but the right ones stay. God uses warfare to separate people who would have damaged your destiny. He allows pressure to break off attachments that were never meant to follow you into your next season. So every betrayal, every rejection, and every disappointment becomes part of God's protection over your calling. And finally, unusual battles are a prophetic sign that breakthrough is near. The enemy fights the hardest when he knows something is about to shift in your favor. The darkness always intensifies right before the dawn. So when everything in your life feels like it's under attack, your mind, your peace, your finances, your relationships, your future, it usually means that a door is about to open. The pressure increases because the enemy fears what you are about to step into. But here is the truth. If the enemy could stop you, he would have stopped you already. The fact that you are still here is proof that God's hand is on you. Your warfare is not random, it is evidence of your calling. The battles you face are not signs of weakness, they are signs of favor. You are not under attack because you are empty. You are under attack because you are chosen, anointed, and carrying supernatural purpose. When God sets you apart for a life of supernatural favor, one of the clearest things He does is separate you from certain people, places, and paths. This separation is often painful and confusing because it usually happens in seasons when you least expect it. You may suddenly feel disconnected from people you once relied on, or doors you thought would open for you close without warning. At first, you may interpret these changes as rejection, betrayal, or personal failure, but in reality, they are part of a divine strategy. God is not removing things to harm you. He is removing them to protect what He has placed inside you. When His favor is on your life, He refuses to let you stay in environments that limit your growth, distract your purpose, or contaminate your spirit. Many people try to hold on to relationships that God has already ended. They stay in circles that pull them backward, or they remain loyal to people who have no intention of growing. But when God sets you apart, He creates a spiritual discomfort that pushes you away from anything that threatens your destiny. You may notice that certain friendships suddenly lose their meaning. Conversations no longer connect, energy shifts, doors close, opportunities fade. What once felt comfortable now feels tight, draining, or misaligned. This is God's way of signaling that the season for those connections has expired. Sometimes God separates you not because the other person is bad, but because the assignment in that relationship is complete. Growth requires transition, and transition often requires separation. You cannot carry everyone into your next level. Some people were meant only for a chapter, not the entire story. Holding on to expired connections delays your destiny. So God steps in and removes what you refuse to release. It may hurt, but the pain is temporary. The protection is permanent. Separation also happens with environments. God will not allow you to stay in places that suffocate your purpose. Maybe your workplace becomes uncomfortable, or the city you live in no longer feels like home. Maybe the routines you once enjoyed begin to feel empty. This restlessness is not depression or confusion. It is God preparing to reposition you. Before He elevates you, He disconnects you. Before He takes you higher, He breaks your attachment to where you are. He knows that if you stay too comfortable, you will resist the new level He is calling you into. So He stirs your spirit until you are willing to move. There are moments when God separates you through disappointment. A job you wanted goes to someone else. A relationship you prayed for does not work out. A plan you thought was God's will suddenly collapses. In those moments you feel crushed and abandoned. But what you cannot see is that God blocked those things because they would have interfered with your future favor. Some disappointments are divine deliverances. Some closed doors are hidden blessings. You were not rejected. You were redirected. God's no is often the biggest protection of your destiny. Another important reason God separates you is to reduce spiritual interference. When He is shaping you for greatness, He needs your heart and mind clear. He sometimes isolates you so your ears can hear His voice without distractions, opinions, or noise. In isolation, your prayer deepens. Your clarity increases. Your sensitivity to the Holy Spirit grows. You learn to depend on God instead of people. This is why many great spiritual transformations happen in seasons of solitude. God pulls you away from the crowd so He can speak to you privately. He hides you before He reveals you. Separation is also a sign that you are being prepared for new relationships. God removes people who are temporary so that He can bring people who are permanent. He takes away the ones who drained you so He can give you people who strengthen you. He removes the ones who tolerated you so He can introduce you to those who celebrate you. Divine separation leads to divine connection. Every person who leaves makes room for someone aligned with your next season. Most importantly, when God separates you, it is because He knows where He is taking you. And not everyone can go. Some people are not spiritually mature enough, loyal enough, or strong enough to handle the weight of your calling. God shields your destiny by guarding your circle. He lets some people walk away because they would have harmed your future. He allows certain relationships to end because their presence would have blocked your blessing. So when people leave your life, when environments shift, when connections fade, do not panic. Do not chase what God is removing. Do not fight to stay where God is calling you to leave. Separation is not rejection. It is direction. It is protection. It is preparation. It is God's way of saying, I am setting you apart for something greater. Trust my hand, even when I move in silence. One of the clearest signs that God has set you apart for a life of supernatural favor is the deep, unexplainable spiritual restlessness you carry inside you. This restlessness is not anxiety, confusion, or dissatisfaction with life in a negative sense. It is a holy stirring, an inner pull that keeps telling you there is more to your life than what you are currently experiencing. Even when things around you seem fine, something in your spirit whispers that you were not born for the ordinary. You feel drawn towards something higher, deeper, and greater, even if you cannot fully describe it. This inner feeling is one of the most powerful indicators that God is preparing you for a destiny beyond your imagination. Many people become comfortable with routine and settle into predictable patterns, but those whom God sets apart never feel fully settled in mediocrity. Their spirit refuses to be boxed in by small thinking, limited environments, or average expectations. You may find yourself unable to rest spiritually when you stay in situations that don't match your calling. Your heart becomes uneasy when you're living beneath your purpose. This restlessness is God gently shaking your spirit, awakening the gifts He placed within you, and preparing you for a divine shift. This inner stirring often appears long before any visible change happens in your life. You may not have the resources, opportunities, or clarity yet, but deep inside, you know you are being prepared. You sense that the season you are in is temporary. You feel that something is coming, even if you don't know what it is. This is how God works. Before He moves you physically, He moves you spiritually. Before He shifts your environment, He shifts your desires. Before He elevates you, He creates a divine dissatisfaction with where you are. Sometimes this restlessness shows up as a loss of interest in things that once excited you. Activities, relationships, or habits that used to feel comfortable start feeling empty. Your spirit becomes uninterested in anything that doesn't align with your future. You may even feel out of place in environments that once felt like home. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you are outgrowing the level you're in. Growth always creates discomfort. Just like a bird that outgrows the nest, you feel like you can no longer stay where you are. God is preparing you for new wings, new heights, and new horizons. This restlessness also brings a deep hunger for purpose. You want your life to matter. You want to use your gifts. You want to walk in the calling God has placed on you. You begin to feel tired of just surviving or repeating the same cycles. Something in you wants transformation, elevation, and spiritual maturity. You may start praying more, seeking God more earnestly, or craving time alone to reflect. This hunger is not random. It is God's Spirit drawing you closer to Himself so He can reveal the next chapter of your life. Many people misinterpret this restlessness as failure or frustration, but in reality it is a spiritual signal. It means God is stirring destiny inside you. When you feel like you don't fit in anymore, it is usually because God is shifting your identity. When your spirit no longer agrees with certain environments, it is because God is preparing to move you. When your heart longs for something greater, it is because heaven is aligning you with your divine assignment. This restlessness often comes with a vision or dream that keeps returning to your mind. It might be a desire to start something new, step into ministry, launch a business, move to a new environment, or pursue a calling that scares you. You may try to ignore it, but it keeps coming back. It interrupts your sleep, occupies your thoughts, and ignites your imagination. You feel a pull towards something you have not yet touched. This is God planting vision inside you before He manifests it around you. It is important to understand that this restlessness is not meant to frustrate you, it is meant to guide you. It is God's navigation system directing you toward your destiny. He doesn't want you to settle where you are because He sees a greater future ahead. So He places a holy dissatisfaction in your spirit to push you forward. If you ever felt like you don't belong where you are, or like you were created for more, that is not pride. It is purpose calling your name. This divine restlessness is sacred. It is a sign that God is inviting you into a new level of faith, obedience, and boldness. It means your story is not over. It means your present does not match your potential. It means God is preparing you for supernatural favor that requires a higher version of you. When you feel that inner pull, don't ignore it. Lean into it, because it is the voice of God saying you are made for more. Keep moving forward. Your destiny is calling. One of the strongest signs that God has set you apart for a life of supernatural favor is the presence of unusual, unexplainable protection over your life. This kind of protection is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, hidden, and almost invisible. But when you look back on your life, you begin to realize there were moments when something should have gone wrong, when danger should have overtaken you, when mistakes could have destroyed you, but they didn't. Not because you were smart, careful, or lucky, but because the hand of God was covering you. When God chooses someone for a divine assignment, He surrounds them with supernatural protection long before they even understand their calling. His protection becomes the shield that preserves your destiny. There are times in life when you walk into situations unaware of the spiritual danger around you, yet somehow you come out unharmed. You avoid accidents by seconds. You escape decisions that could have ruined your future. People who meant you harm are suddenly removed from your path. Opportunities that would have trapped you fall apart before you get close. These moments are not coincidences. They are orchestration. God is positioning you, shielding you, and steering you away from things that would have destroyed the plan He has for you. When God sets you apart, His protection works even when you are unaware of it. Sometimes His protection looks like disappointment. A door closes, a relationship ends, or an opportunity collapses. You feel frustrated, confused, or even hurt. But later, you realize God was saving you from something you could not see. Not all protection feels good in the moment. Sometimes God protects you by keeping you out of places where your heart would have been broken, your peace destroyed, or your future delayed. When He does not allow something to happen, it is because His deeper knowledge sees what your natural eyes cannot. His no is often His mercy in disguise. There were moments you should have lost your mind, yet you remained standing. There were seasons where the pressure should have crushed you, yet you held on. There were nights when the emotional weight should have broken you, but somehow strength rose from within. This inner strength is also part of God's protection. He not only shields your life externally, but also fortifies your spirit internally. His protection sustains your mind, your faith, your hope, and your emotional capacity. Even when everything around you was shaking, God held you together. God's protection is also evident in the people He keeps away from you. You may not understand why certain individuals were removed, why friends suddenly distanced themselves, or why some people betrayed you, but later you see that their presence in your life would have been dangerous to your destiny. Some people carry jealousy, manipulation, distraction, or spiritual contamination. God sees what they carry long before you do, and because He has set you apart, He doesn't allow them to stay close. Their exit is protection, not rejection. There are also times when God protects you by delaying your progress. You may want to step into something quickly, but God slows you down because the environment is not ready or because you are not prepared yet. What you interpret as stagnation is often divine safeguarding. God refuses to let you walk into a blessing prematurely or into a spiritual battlefield before your armor is ready. Delay can be one of the most powerful forms of protection. God shields you not only from danger, but from premature exposure that could damage your future. And then there are the moments you cannot explain. When a situation should have gone wrong, but didn't. When you narrowly escape harm. When something tells you, don't go there, or don't trust this, or wait before making this decision. These quiet whispers, these sudden instincts, these flashes of clarity are all forms of divine intervention. God speaks to your spirit, guides your intuition, and alerts your heart. When you listen, you step into safety. When you obey, you walk into peace. This spiritual sensitivity is a sign that God is actively guarding your path. The truth is, if the enemy had his way, you would not be here. The attacks sent to destroy you failed because God stopped them. The traps set for you collapsed because God broke them. The harm intended for you never reached you because God blocked it. His protection is the evidence that your life carries purpose. You have been preserved for something greater. You have been shielded because your destiny is significant. Supernatural favor requires supernatural protection. And God has been covering you every step of the way, even in the seasons when you did not understand why things happened the way they did. So when you look back and realize how many things could have gone wrong but didn't, understand this. You were protected on purpose. God kept you, saved you, and shielded you because your destiny is too important to be touched. His protection is the clearest proof that He has set you apart for something extraordinary. Another powerful sign that God has set you apart for a life of supernatural favor is that He opens doors for you that others cannot access, no matter how hard they try. These doors are not opened by your qualifications, connections, or personal strength. They are opened by divine intervention. When God decides to elevate you, no human being can block the path He creates. This kind of favor looks almost unfair, almost supernatural, because it is not based on effort alone. It is God's hand positioning you, promoting you, and pushing you into opportunities designed specifically for your destiny. There are moments in life when you will suddenly find yourself standing in places you never imagined entering. You may receive opportunities you didn't apply for, meet people you could never reach on your own, or walk into rooms that seem far beyond your level. These moments are not accidents, they are divine arrangements. God orchestrates circumstances in the background, aligning events in your favor, causing the right people to notice you, and placing you on paths that lead directly to your purpose. When God sets you apart, He becomes your promoter. Your name reaches the right ears even when you remain silent. Your abilities are recognized even when you feel unseen. Doors swing open not because of who you are, but because of who He is. Sometimes the opportunities God opens don't make sense at first. You may feel unqualified or inexperienced. You may wonder why you were chosen when there were others who seemed more prepared, more educated, or more deserving. But God does not choose based on human standards. He chooses based on purpose. He opens doors for those He has called, not just for those who look ready. Favor means God places you in positions your resume cannot explain. Favor means God grants you access your background cannot justify. Favor means He makes a way where no way existed before. In many cases, the doors God opens defy logic. Someone may recommend you without knowing you personally. A supervisor may choose you for a role because your name came to their mind. A stranger may help you without knowing why they felt led to do so. These are not random acts. They are supernatural signs that God is aligning people to assist your destiny. When God sets you apart, He touches hearts, influences decisions, and shapes conversations in ways that benefit you. People will bless you without even understanding why. They will feel drawn to help you because God placed your name on their spirit. There are also moments when God opens a door simply by removing obstacles. You may see a sudden shift, a sudden change of rules, or a sudden restructuring that works in your favor. You may find yourself promoted not because the system was designed to promote you, but because God rearranged the system for your sake. Sometimes God doesn't give you favor within the structure. He changes the structure itself. When He sets you apart, He bends circumstances toward your purpose. Another beautiful aspect of divine favor is that no one can stop what God has ordained. People may try to block you, delay you, or speak against you, but when a door is opened by God, human hands cannot close it. Even when others try to interfere, God turns their resistance into redirection. He uses opposition as a stepping stone. He takes their attempts to limit you and transforms them into opportunities to display His power. What others meant for harm becomes the very thing that pushes you forward. God's favor overrides human intention. Sometimes the door God opens is not just for opportunity, but for exposure. He brings you into environments where your gifts can be seen, your voice heard, and your potential recognized. He places you where your light will shine the brightest. You don't have to force yourself to be noticed. Favor draws attention to you naturally. You don't have to compete. Favor sets you apart effortlessly. You don't have to beg for a chance. Favor hands you the microphone. However, divine opportunities often come with a purpose bigger than yourself. God does not open doors just to bless you. He opens them so you can bless others, influence lives, uplift souls, and bring glory to His name. When favor rests on your life, your success becomes a testimony. Your breakthroughs become encouragement for others. Your elevation becomes a demonstration of God's goodness. And just as God opens new doors, He also closes wrong ones. Sometimes the door you desperately wanted to enter remains shut and you feel disappointed. But later, you discover that the closed door was a form of redirection towards something far better. When God sets you apart, He makes sure the access you receive matches your destiny. He blocks anything beneath your calling and unlocks only what leads to purpose. The truth is, the opportunities you step into will not be normal. They will be supernatural. They will be too perfectly timed, too well aligned, too deeply connected to your path to be coincidence. When heaven backs your journey, your access becomes a testimony. Doors open, breakthroughs appear, and paths form where none existed. This is the favor of God, and it is reserved for those He has set apart. When God sets you apart for a life of supernatural favor, one of the most powerful signs you will notice is the way He aligns circumstances in your life that you could have never arranged on your own. Doors open that you never knocked on. People come into your life who carry pieces of your destiny. Opportunities appear at moments when you are least expecting them. These alignments are not random. They are fingerprints of God orchestrating a path that is uniquely designed for you. Often, these divine alignments happen quietly, behind the scenes, long before you even realize God is working. You may look back months or years later and suddenly understand that what seemed like coincidence was actually providence. It is in these divine setups that God reveals His supernatural favor, guiding you to places you could never reach by your own efforts. This does not mean the journey will always be smooth. In fact, many times, God's alignments begin with disruptions. A closed door may appear disappointing in the moment, but later you see how it redirected you to something far better. Sometimes God protects you from paths you think you want simply because He sees the ending you cannot. When you are set apart for favor, He will not allow you to settle for what is beneath your calling. He removes certain options, ends certain relationships, and blocks certain opportunities because they would hinder the fullness of what He has prepared for you. In the moment, it may feel confusing, but as the bigger picture unfolds, you begin to see God's wisdom woven through every redirection. Another sign of divine alignment is supernatural timing. Things begin to happen at the exact moment they are supposed to, not too early, not too late. You may endure seasons of waiting that feel frustrating, but when the appointed time comes, everything shifts at once. What was stagnant suddenly accelerates. What was delayed suddenly moves. What was silent suddenly speaks. God's timing is a mark of His favor because He knows that releasing blessings prematurely would not bless you, it would burden you. When your character, spirit, and maturity align with the weight of what He wants to give you, favor begins to unfold naturally and beautifully. God also aligns people around you, some to lift you, some to guide you, and some to challenge you. He sends mentors who speak wisdom you could not have known on your own. He places helpers who support you in seasons when you are weak. He even allows certain enemies to rise, not to destroy you, but to sharpen you, strengthen you, and push you deeper into His purpose. Every relationship that enters or exits your life becomes part of the divine puzzle He is assembling. When God sets you apart, He carefully curates the community around you so that every voice, every connection, and every interaction contributes to your spiritual and personal growth. You will also notice divine alignment when your gifts begin to find the right environment. Talent alone cannot place you where you need to be, but favor can. God positions you in places where your abilities will be recognized, developed, and used for His glory. He places you where you will thrive, not where you will shrink. Suddenly, what you carry becomes needed, valued, and sought after. Where others struggle for recognition, you find favor without striving. This is not because you are better. It is because God has chosen to highlight what He placed within you at the right time. Divine alignment can also be felt in your spirit. You begin to sense God's peace guiding you like a compass. Even when you cannot see the whole path, you feel a deep inner knowing that God is leading you. You stop forcing things. You stop chasing what is not yours. You stop worrying about what does not flow. You begin to recognize that what is meant for you comes with ease, clarity, and confirmation. When God aligns things, confusion lifts and peace settles. Ultimately, divine alignment is a sign that God's supernatural favor is resting on your life. It shows that He is actively involved in shaping your steps, protecting your path, and guiding you toward a destiny far greater than anything you could construct alone. It reminds you that you are not walking by luck or human effort, but by God's deliberate and loving design. When you recognize these alignments, your faith deepens, your confidence grows, and your spirit becomes anchored in the unshakable truth that you are set apart for something extraordinary. When God sets you apart for a life of supernatural favor, your journey becomes a testimony of His power, His wisdom, and His love. Every unusual experience, every redirection, every stretching season, and every unexpected blessing becomes part of the divine story He is writing through your life. You begin to see that nothing was wasted. Every delay shaped you, every challenge refined you, every closed door protected you, and every open door positioned you. Favor is not random. It is intentional. It is God's personal signature upon your life, marking you as someone He has chosen, guided, and empowered for a purpose far greater than you imagined. As you walk forward, you do so with a deeper awareness that you are not like everyone else. You are set apart, not to be isolated, but to be elevated, not to be burdened, but to be used, not to be hidden forever, but to be prepared for the moment God reveals what He has been building within you. His favor surrounds you like a shield, goes before you like a path-clearing wind, and follows behind you as divine protection. So embrace the journey, trust the process, lean into His guidance. Because the same God who has set you apart is the God who will sustain you, strengthen you, and fulfill every promise spoken over your life. Your future is not ordinary, it is supernatural. And the favor of God that rests upon you will make the impossible possible, the closed become open, and the unseen become reality. Your life is divinely marked, deeply chosen, and destined for greatness.